This conference will now be recorded.
The Town Council of Surfside Beach to order. We're going to do the invocation, and our pastor's not able to make it, so I'm going to do it myself. Heavenly Father, it seems our nation and society move further from you every day, and our own hearts often follow suit. I pray that you will always be welcome at Surfside Beach, especially in our town council. For you ordain governments, and we have our authority in you. I pray for clarity of thought for every member of this council as we proceed through this meeting, and that each of us chooses to do right in your eyes. You have asked and answered what is right through your words to the prophet Micah. What does the Lord require of us but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God? Lead us to do your will for Surfside Beach as we emulate the governance of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
And the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Very good. All right. We are now ready to move into motions relating to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Krecklau.
I'd like to make a motion that we remove number 8 under business F, 8F under business, the first reading of ordinance 24-0965, chapter 2, administration. I think it's a large enough document that we should.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Yeah,
second that.
Okay, we got a second. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You made the motion. You want to?
Look at that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to add to section 8G, first reading of ordinance ordinance number 24-0966 on chapter 9. This is what she handed out to us yesterday at the meeting.
You don't have it.
It's not on there, that's why I'm
It's not on
adding
there,
it.
he's adding it.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. And I shouldn't call for a vote. I should call for discussion. Is there any discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor, this is what we talked about last week, and it was supposed to automatically have been added. It slipped through the cracks and didn't notice it till Friday. So I called Friday and they said this is the way to add it to the agenda. It has to do with selling the 16 parking spaces in the dirt gravel lot. That's what it's about.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Walls.
I'm a little concerned that we're going to be going into this blind. We haven't had the time to prepare or consider. Was there something in our packet to review?
She
I
handed it to
handed
you
out
yesterday.
at the budget meeting.
It's in the budget folder, sorry.
I will
Something
be,
you previously approved, but
I will-
this is to change the ordinance to allow for that.
well, I'm going to be honest. I didn't look at it yesterday. My mind was elsewhere with all the budget info. But I guess we'll hear if there's any more discussion. All right, then, Ms. Medina, you can poll.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklau,
We are just adding it, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Want to make sure.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yeah, let's do it.
Mayor Kraus.
Well, I would still say no, but it's okay. I did not look at it, I'll be honest, but I remember from the last meeting. So.
So we're
All right,
doing it
motion
tonight?
carries 6-1. So that'll be 8G,
Yes.
Correct.
and we won't have an F. Any other motions relating to the agenda? All right, thanks very much then. We'll move on to minutes approval for March 26, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mayor,
Mr. Stamey.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from March 26, 2024.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklau,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. All right, we will now move on to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Just a question, am I allowed to talk about it if you removed it from the agenda?
Correct, you cannot.
Okay, well, and that stating, I have a 5-minute speech. Dusty McCracken, 114 South Oak.
Thank you.
I had a 5-minute speech for you related to chapter 2. We won't talk about it, but as Keegan just now presented a agenda item, I think it's very inappropriate to add agenda items on the same day. Of course, all of you can't be able to review it. You don't know what's in it. And it's a reflection of chapter 2 being on the agenda today. So I really hope in the future that y'all consider and make sure and plan that everybody has the records to review, everybody does their homework, so that y'all can make your right decisions. I have emailed each one of you my concerns over chapter 2, so hope you got it. And if you did not, I would check with Sherry because evidently there's some email issues with people receiving my emails. So thank you.
Thank you. Watch your step.
Lynn Livesey, 520 10th Avenue South, here in Surfside. I've been here in Surfside for 44 years. And I wanted to speak to the agenda item 7A. I don't believe that needs to be on the agenda any longer. You all have what you need as far as a structure and a flow chart to make this, do this panel through your employees and through your administrator. And we certainly don't need an executive panel that includes council people. I've also would like for you all to work a little longer than 4 months together. You haven't even been here 6 months, and you're starting to rewrite job descriptions and the agenda item you removed, but now once again, which was brought up, you're bringing an item to the floor that I didn't get to review it, I didn't get to look at it. I do go online and I listen to you. I might not be here, but I listen. But the job description that you're getting ready to rewrite, you all are oversimplifying some of these things that have been here as long as I have and more. And I appreciate your work and your enthusiasm and your vigor. But honestly, could you work together a little bit longer before you start rewriting job descriptions and ordinances?
Thank you.
How y'all doing?
Good.
My name is Randall Stevens. I'm at 412 First Avenue, a former council person. I feel sorry for you up there. I know y'all go through a lot of hell. But I wish y'all would have called me when y'all were asking about what causes the policeman to leave here. I talked to every policeman that was here when I was on council. Right there's what they left for, money. They didn't get paid enough money, so they went somewhere else.
Mr. Mayor,
It's not on the agenda.
if he wants to speak.
Everyone I talked to.
He can't.
I see you're forming an independent police executive council. That's what I saw that. Actually, I was on the way home when I decided to stop in and see what's going on. See all you smiling faces up here. But anyway, I hope you put some real thought in it and really do the right thing. I hope this is not, I hated to see Kenny Hoffman gone. I know you're forming a council, but I reckon this is to get somebody new. And I hope that this is not, I hated to see, even second for a policeman I saw run off. One was, I forget his name from Monroe, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Kenny Hoffman. And he resigned, but, I hope y'all do something good. And I hope you be fair to the people that are out there. And I hope you look for somebody who knows a little bit about Surfside like Kenny did. And I hope y'all have a good 4 years. The ones that have 2 years, you'll be up for election. But if you don't do right, guess what? They're going to shout. Y'all have a good evening. I'm going home to see my wife. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Yvette Hellier, 7th Avenue North, Surfside Beach. I want to reiterate what Dusty was saying about ordinances. I love ordinances. I was a rule writer with the federal government for 30 years. So I know about it on the federal side and on the state side. And I would like to just point out that it's important that you have public input, an opportunity for public comment and review, to get back to the public on what was decided when you looked at public comments and where and what direction you're gonna take. The last time anybody looked at chapter 2 was quite a while ago. So the memory of why it was decided to put a red line or strike out in any of these paragraphs is perhaps gone. If there were notes taken, they can be taken, brought back up, put in. Perhaps a workshop, perhaps not, but make it available. One of the nicest things about the comprehensive package that went last year before us for the 10-year plan was that it was on the Town of Surfside Beach website. And I could jump in there, access it, read all about stormwater. And I could read about all the other parts too, to see where it connected and where the disconnect was, and talk to John Adair, where I thought we could add some more input, and other folks. So if that's a possibility, that would be great, because this could help us provide you with more feedback. Chapter 2 is extremely important. It talks about administrative. You need to find out, are people going to be interested at our 1 o'clock?
Mr. Mayor, that's a
For
point of
public
order. We can't
comments.
talk about chapter 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you need to talk about any ordinance, whether it's chapter 2, chapter 9, a new ordinance, an old one, that whether or not it's still applicable. But when one's being drafted, reviewed, rewritten, thought about as possibly to be rewritten, that's a good process to go through, is to have public input, put it up there for review, offer an opportunity for comments, review, and to be able to examine it. So have a review period, give it a deadline, and then provide feedback as to what was decided. And then do the votes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Carolyn Pradlick, 512 13th Avenue North. I would echo the same comments that you need to put this out there, but I will add that what I see on the website, and I don't know whether I'm unique or not, when I click on the link for the Chapter 2 ordinance, is I see a lot of garbled text. And I would hope that that could be corrected soon so that the public can see the
Are you doing it on
text
your
in
phone?
full. No, I'm
Oh.
doing it on an iPad. But I think a lot of people probably do that. And so if we could check to make sure that we're seeing a clear version of the ordinance so that we can offer valid comments that are useful to the council. I would also add that on the independent inquiry with regard to the police force, I think it is important to have an independent look at things. Having a town employee conduct the inquiry is not a good idea, because it likely has a chilling effect on the individuals who need to provide information. So using an independent person or entity to conduct the inquiry, I think is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? I see none, so we are going to move on now to item number 6, communications, business committee presentation. We have Mr. Tom Banish, who is the business committee chair.
Thank you and good evening. The point of us being here tonight is to kind of give you an update on what we've been doing and look forward as to what we're looking at doing from now on. Before I get started, though, I'd like to introduce some of the members of the business committee who are here. John Gilchrist, Randy Huffman, Rod Schilling, I saw somewhere right there. We had a meeting today. Everybody was at the meeting, so we're really moving along, I think. What I'd like to do first is kind of recap what we've done since I got involved. One of the first things we did was an inventory of the business on Sandy Lane. At the time, I was at a meeting where she had said that they needed some help to conduct something like this. I said, it'd be a great way for us to cut our teeth. And so we were able to create a business inventory of everybody who we could find on Sandy Lane, including vacant properties and things like that. So that's information that we need going forward so people can understand what the opportunities are. Another thing we did last year was the candidates forum. Many of you were there. That was at the Holiday Inn on Thursday, October 26th. Very well attended, and I think it was very well received, and people appreciated it. We move forward to Surfside Beach Business Inventory to identify the businesses, owners, and managers of businesses, owners of commercial property and vacant commercial properties in town. And that is really an extension of what we're trying to do overall. We want to have the big picture. We want to know who owns the buildings. We want to know who is occupying them, and I think that's going to be helpful to us, obviously, but also to the town. To that point, to that end, we started a thing called Business with a Twist. And we've had at least 4 of them now. I think maybe 5, actually. And Business with a Twist is just a networking opportunity. It's a chance for business owners. And again, what we're trying to do is get to business owners, business managers, and property owners. So we're not inviting all the salespeople in town and everything else. We want the businesses to come and we want to meet them. We want them to meet us and to meet you. I appreciate the fact that a number of you have come to our Business with a Twist, and they are very well attended, and people are very enthusiastic about the opportunity to get together like that. Finally, facade and landscaping grants. We have several candidates right now that are preparing their applications for facade grants, and we're trying to extend it a little further with the landscaping grants because I think it's a good opportunity for people to clean up their, kind of dress up their property. Let me explain what each one is. Facade grant these are reimbursable grants. So what somebody has to do is they have to get quotes. They have to propose it to us. There are rules about the proposal. Then it gets approved by the town. If it's approved, we will reimburse the person who's requesting the grant for up to $5,000. So it's a matching grant, which means they have to spend $10,000 to get $5,000. Okay? If they spend $15,000, they still get $5,000. The landscaping grant is the same, except it's in increments of $2,000. But for $4,000, you can generally get some reasonable work done, realistically. So, and we're using the things that I've just talked about to get people in the community to understand who we are, know who we are, and reach out to us. One of the things I'm a little confused about tonight is we have requested that our request for a Facebook page be put on the agenda for tonight, and I was told it was, but I don't see it. And that's another thing that's very important to us because we want to use that as an outreach and also as a feedback mechanism. So if we can't get that taken care of tonight, I would really request that it be on the next agenda because we were anticipating it, and we would have people preparing to, populate it with things. So that's what we've done in the last year and a half. That's what we've accomplished. What we're looking forward to doing is a number of things. And all of these are to basically benefit businesses in town. First one I'd like to talk about is we're a downtown shuttle. We all know that there are parking problems in town. It's a major issue. I think it's one that could be addressed with a shuttle program that would be effective. If we could get people to come into town, park at a central location and then shuttle them around town on, shuttle that has a route, and they know where it would go. We can take it to shops downtown, we can take it to the beaches, we can take it wherever they want to go. But I think it would be a real incentive for people to come to town. Because when they come to town now and they can't find a place to park, they keep going. They'll go to the Marsh Walk, where you still can't find a place to park, somehow they manage. So what we're doing along these lines is we're getting information. We'll come back to you with whatever we find out, and, eventually we'll have a proposal. But we want to work with the parking committee on this, I believe. And I think it could be a real asset to the town. The next thing I'm mentioning is Business Committee Facebook page, which we'll talk about, but I really would like to see that come out. The next item is, part of our remit is to beautify Business 17, which is not an easy job, and it's a very long-term job. But I think there are a lot of things that we could do in the short term that can help make things better. We have a number of properties on 17 that just really don't look good at all. And we have other properties where people take really good care of them, and they look great, and we want to spread that all along Route 17, but we also want to spread it through all the businesses in town. I can tell you from driving around and looking at things, there are some places that really need to be cleaned up. I mean, they make the town look horrible. And, sometimes it's just a simple matter of cleaning up all the junk in a lot and getting rid of it. I know the construction company for the pier was using a lot up on 17. My understanding is that now that the pier is done, they've got to clear that out and get out of there. So that's one thing that we're looking forward to having enforced, because I think it's important that when we have a rule, it's enforceable and it's enforced. And that lot on 17 has really looked bad for several years. So anyway, the things that we're looking at doing to make 17 more attractive is plantings, and Mr. Kincan came to our meeting today to talk about that. I think he has a proposal that he'd like to bring forward, and we would definitely be interested in working with him on that. The next thing we talked about at our meeting today, and we've established a subcommittee to do this, is to have a Business of the Month club contest. And much like KSBD does downtown, with House of the Month, I think it could be a major way for businesses to be incentivized to improve their appearance. And as people are winning the Business of the Month, other people are going to look at that and say, wow, maybe I can do something and get to that. So, and I can't take credit for that. KSBB came up with the idea, but Dusty also suggested it to us, and we think it's a great idea. So we're going to be working to, I think we're looking to get that in motion by maybe, hopefully, the first Business of the Month will be in June. The other thing that we established a subcommittee this morning to assess the aesthetics and condition of buildings of each business in town and classify them according to rank to determine those most in need of improvement. So this is a little more tricky, because we're basically going to be going to businesses and saying, your place doesn't look very good, and we need you to do something about it. And in our conversation this morning, almost everybody in the business committee is a business person in Surfside. They're a little leery of that. And I said, I have no problem being the person that does that. I'm the president of my HOA. I do a lot worse things than that. So we will be doing that. In each of these cases, we have to establish criteria for what will, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're working on for the next couple of months, is just getting it together. That's why hopefully we can get this, the first Business of the Month in June. Finally, we are preparing several business surveys. Some of them are informational from the perspective of what we were talking about before with our inventory, getting all that information in one place and keeping it updated every time somebody comes in for a business license, every time somebody gets a permit. We want to be included in the process so we can add that to our list. Because that's, really all this information exists somewhere, but we want to have a central place for it. There are other things that we want to do in business surveys where we can ask questions and get feedback from people, from their business about their interactions with the town, good, bad, whatever. I think we're seeing a major shift in the perception of Surfside at this point over the last 6 months. I think the planning department's become more friendly to people. I'm hearing that, I'm getting that feedback. We just opened a new business opening over by the bowling alley. It's called the Vision Factory. And when he came to town, he knew nothing about anything. He just knew he had heard that it's going to be difficult to do what he wanted to do. If I brought him here tonight to talk to you, he would say it was great. We had an excellent experience, and it was a matter of communicating. We got him in to talk to the planning person and zoning person, and understand what he needed to do, what the sequence of events would be for him to open his business. And he's very happy. He hosted our last business with a twist, which was great. So, we are looking to be a very positive influence in town and to help businesses and to help Surfside become business friendly. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, do we have any questions for Mr. Banish?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kincaid?
Tom, I think your committee's doing a great job. I've seen a huge improvement. The opportunities at this business with a twist. I've gotten to meet a lot of people in town that I probably would not have met.
Right.
And
they get to meet you. That's the other part.
It works both ways, yeah. So it's a huge improvement. And I just commend you for the work you and your committee are doing. You're doing a great job. Please keep it up.
We will.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey?
on the things that y'all want to do, how are you going to go about rating business and tell them that they are poor business or good business?
Well,
If I own the business and you come and told me about my business that you didn't like, and I was doing everything by ordinance, I'd probably tell you where to go.
Sure.
And that's about the way I feel about some of these
I
other
think
guys.
you probably would anyway.
I'd be right.
No, the fact of the matter is, we're going to establish some criteria. It's going to be reasonable. It's going to be based on the ordinances. But it's also, part of this whole thing, if you're going to convince somebody to do something they don't want to do, we're not just going to put their name in the paper and say, oh, these people have a crummy business and look, here's pictures of them, and here's why it is. We're going to sell them on fixing their business for their own benefit, for the benefit of the town. It's not a simple thing to do, but you got to start saying.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
what's the criteria going to be for the business of the month? Is it going to be the nicest looking place or the friendliest place?
I think it's going to be a combination of those things. Again, we just kind of agreed to the subcommittee doing this today, and they are going to establish criteria. But I think it's got to be aesthetics, partly, But there are a lot of businesses in town that are well respected, and their place may not be anything special, but it might be that there's other criteria that they fulfill that would make them eligible for that. So, that's the subcommittee that we put together today, I think is very capable of coming up with criteria that will be fair. And, what we want to do is encourage people to enter into the contest. We want to have 5 entries, 10 entries a month, so that, we have good things to choose from, but it'll bring recognition to everybody. Because if you enter the contest, we're going to tell people about it. It's not just, here's the winner, it's here's all the people that entered this month, and here's who won. So
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Wall, I just wanted to make a comment, Tom, that I campaigned on 17. I talked to so many residents that this has been coming for so long. So I appreciate the initiative. Please let us know what we can do to help support this. I don't think you're going to find any exception up here. We want to achieve exactly what you're trying to help us achieve. Get a better looking strip out here. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Any others? Okay, I got a couple. The facade and landscaping grant, so we already have that working? And have some people taken advantage of the
Yes.
landscaping portion too?
No, not yet, not landscape yet.
Okay,
And here's part of the problem. People have done landscaping when this grant is available, but they didn't know about it.
okay.
You know, I mean, part of what we're trying to do is let people know what's available for them to help them. And when I first got involved, nobody knew what the business community was either. You know, I mean, it's the outreach that we're trying, that's why I want the Facebook page, because it's an outreach. It's a way that we can share things from our page to other pages and from other pages to our own page. You know, and I think it'll be really useful and be really helpful, because a lot of people find out what's going on in town through Facebook, since we don't seem to have like a local newspaper, you know, so.
So I guess, you know, to carry on with that discussion, the Highway 17 beautification, assuming we approve that and make funds available, would you roll it and try to administer it through this, or try to set up a new program?
No, I think this is intended to be a new program, which would be less of a grant, more of a grant, less of a matching grant. I think the idea, the way Mr. Kington spoke to us was, we would offer people the opportunity. First of all, we have to establish criteria. What is it that we want to see? Do we want to see palm trees everywhere? Do we want to see maple trees everywhere? What do we want to see and where? So that's going to take some kind of a study. We need to find somebody who can do that study for us, you know, relatively inexpensively, because we don't want to spend our first $30,000 on plans and not be able to do anything with it. But if this goes through, it's a 5-year plan. And I think if we get somebody to come in, the town I lived in before, we had Yale University down the street. And they had an architectural group that would come and do a charrette. And they would basically lay out the plans and let people see them and say, you know, this looks great, this looks horrible, whatever it is. But it would help us to have some kind of expert advice. You know, whether it be a landscape architect or a college that has a landscape architect department, and they want to take on a project like us, you know. So we're going to be looking to see who might have that capability and who would be willing to share with us.
Okay. And I guess I also want to just make sure we're also meshing with the planning commission's design overlay, and that we don't have too many different things going on.
That takes precedence.
Okay.
This would be in addition to that.
Okay.
You know.
Supplemental?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Facebook page, to me, I don't really see that as a council issue. I really think the administration can look at that and say, can it be handled, you know, through existing resources today? If not, then I think we have to look at it. But I think really that's a question for Mr. Vincent, if Mr. Vincent agrees.
Great.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have council involved at that point.
Okay, that's fine with me.
I don't know what the rest of these guys think, but and then, yeah, I don't know if it will help you any of that. You're on your own. I'm not sure our help would be help. Anyway, then, you know, the whole beautification thing and the surveys, I think, you know, I'm a proponent of committees, but I will ask, I guess, that you just keep us apprised. Some of that stuff could get a little dicey.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you start, as Mr. Stamey said, some people are gonna get their hackles raised.
Yeah.
And.
But no, honestly, some people should.
Okay.
I like
And the same with the surveys. I mean, there's gonna be potentially some negative input that people have to be ready to deal with.
The whole idea, the one thing we want to do with the surveys, so that we get honest opinions, is we want to keep them confidential from the perspective of who's giving us the information. And we're trying to work through that right now, is how we do that, because the survey has to come through the town, and if it's coming through the town, people might not believe it's confidential. So we have to figure that out. But
I mean, corporations do that all the time.
Yeah,
You know?
but we're gonna do a couple of easy ones first, to kind of get the hang of it, and then we'll get into the meat of it.
All right. I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, any other questions for Mr. Banish? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
We're now moving on to item 7A, formation of an independent police executive panel. Councilmember Krecklau.
Well, at our last meeting on March 26th, the town council decided to have an inquiry into the police department's attrition rate. What we didn't do is decide who should be conducting this inquiry. And I'm just, I brought it up to have a discussion about who should be doing the, I guess. I'm just asking for input, yeah, I really don't.
All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Shaw, was that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Floor's open now.
I do agree with this, and I think it should be independent. Agree with whoever spoke up and said, make it an independent, not somebody within town, because then there's no ties there. They go in as an open face, and, because one gentleman says it's money. I've talked to officers, and it's not necessarily money. So it would be really valuable for the town overall to have an independent person or panel look at this.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kinkin.
First comment I want to make, what we voted on was to do an investigation. But I also had a comment that before I got involved too much, I checked with Kenny to make sure that he wants us to do this, and he does. He wants this investigation to go forward. He said it's not going to help him, but it'll help the next guy. The town needs to know that there's nothing nefarious going on in the police department. And until we get to the bottom of it, that's what we need to do. And so I'm just going to tell you that Kenny is in favor of us going forward. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walls.
I just would like to make sure that we clearly and definitely define independent. No one within the city limits of this town should be involved in it at all. That's my point.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey.
the motion was last week when we made this motion, it wasn't for an investigation. It wasn't to an inquiry. It was for an investigation. We did not determine who was going to do it, but I do know that there was a reporter asked in here that night, and it was told to that reporter it would be done by our town administrator, which I don't care who does it, but this inquiry needs to be changed back to the investigation because that's what you voted on. This inquiry wasn't what we voted on. So I think that needs to be changed to show that. And so I'm also talked to Kenny about it. He's all aboard about investigating his office and see what's going on.
Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Coleman.
Just looked up the definition of inquiry. It says it's an official investigation. So I don't know why we're going to play games with the definition. If you look up the definition of investigation, it says it's an inquiry. So I don't know what the point is on that. I think we should have an independent panel consisting of retired police executives, people who have done this their whole life, and they know what's going on. Not some outsider who has no clue. And I don't think you should eliminate people who happen to move here. It should be people who are honestly going to give it a fair look. It shouldn't be people who are close to this police department already. It should be a clear and concise and accurate look of what is going on. That's the only fair way. That is the only fair way. It's fair for this police department, it's fair for the chief, and it's fair for the former officers and the citizens of this town. we need to know what, if anything, is going on.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
Harry and I had this conversation this morning about the difference between investigation and inquiry, and they are two different things. And Jarrett may tell me that I'm wrong, but according to what I found, you do an investigation, and if you find something, then you do the inquiry. And usually the inquiry involves a judge. So that's, in looking this up, that's what I came up with. I think we ought to contact MASC and see what they have to offer, because I think it should be independent and outside of town. That way there's no axes to grind or history. Find people that are not associated with Surfside, look at it. And they have to have some knowledge of what's going on in the police departments around the country. Because what's going on today is not the same that went on when I was working. The work ethic is different, the people are different, and it's across a multiple, not just police departments. It's in a lot of places. So they should, in my opinion, it should be people that are outside the town that have some police knowledge, whether it be a policeman or a ex-chief or whatever, is knowing what's going on in today's world. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'll respond to that briefly. Mr. Bouchette, just, again, I don't know that's much of a difference. I think the inquiry can have a specific meaning if it's in a context in which inquiry is defined specifically. What I mean by that is sometimes certain agencies, whether internally dealing with their own employees or otherwise, may define what we probably call an investigation as an inquiry, and it has certain specific connotations and meaning. But I think in the context that we're using it here, which I don't think there's much distinction between inquiry and investigation. It's not, we don't draw a distinction in our ordinances or in FOIA or anything along those lines. So as it relates to that, I don't think there's a specific implication with referring to it as one or the other for our purposes here today. The other thing I want to point out is that this may end up being something that requires some additional discussion, because I think you're going to run into a number of additional questions, such as if we are ultimately going to have some kind of panel or committee of folks, by what process, who gets to appoint or elect those members. Is there going to be, presumably would be a report at the end of it? Are these folks going to be compensated? Again, there's no right or wrong answer to any of those questions, but I think as you work through the logistics to do something like this, I think in order to do it correctly, that group will need to have fairly clear directives and objectives in order to achieve what the council is looking to do.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Cookler.
I'd like to add to that. I just looked it up. An investigation, the meaning of an investigation is the systematic process of gathering information, facts, and evidence to uncover the truth or find answers to a specific issue or crime. An inquiry, the meaning is the act of asking questions, seeking information, or conducting research to gain knowledge or understanding about a particular subject or topic. And yes, I may have said it was an investigation at the beginning, but when people started questioning me about it and whatever, an inquiry to me more is what I actually wanted. I don't know if that's what the rest of the council wanted, but that's what I thought. And at that point in time, when I made that motion, I pretty much thought they were interchangeable, and they are for the most part, except for in the legal sense of the word. So,
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to state for the record that was an incredibly important motion. And to play around with what people meant and what was designed for that, it affected a man's livelihood. And we should not take people's lives. So, I don't know, just play with people by changing the name of a word or so forth, but unfortunately it accomplished what the goal was.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Staney.
as we voted last week, and I'm gonna go back to the same thing that we always say, when we make decisions up here, it ain't the wording, I mean, it's the wording it means everything. And if you're doing an investigation instead of an inquiry is like to go and ask questions. An investigation, which was said, is to go out and investigate somebody to make sure that they've done something wrong and report back to somebody. If there's done something wrong in an investigation, they're gonna be criminal charges probably brought against them people. So that's what we voted on. That's what this council voted on. So it shouldn't be inquiry. We shouldn't be going back and changing something to make something different in a report. So it should be, hey, listen, I'm all for it. I'm gonna vote to do an investigation, but just for that simple reason, I want it put in there the way it was voted on by 4 of the council people up here.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shawn?
this all came about for the fact of finding out answers. It was not to say this person, that person, this procedure. I've been involved with investigations in my employment before. Investigation is not necessarily a bad or pointing fingers. Investigation helps you be better. Say, like the one gentleman said, it's money. Well, maybe it's money and something else, so that something else could make it better. It's not trying to go after somebody's livelihood. That was not the point of this. It was to find out the facts behind why so many police officers were leaving. And there are different answers among the ones leaving that didn't involve money. So to have an independent panel interview these people and identify this, and of course, when you have a panel, you pick people that are, have the experience of the police department, investigations, and they know how to read people. They know the questions to ask. And of course, we can follow up with our attorney to make sure we have everything in line. But it's not to point fingers. I know people are thinking that, but it's not. That's all I have to say.
Is there anything else? All right, I'm gonna make a couple comments. We heard the legal opinion of our attorney that for our basis, the words are not really that different. I don't have a big issue with which word is used. I was one who said investigation at one time, and I was asked to change it to inquiry. And I'm not gonna say who it was nobody at this table, but I chose to do that. With that, this is just a discussion item. We don't need any motions here, but if anybody wants to make one, feel free.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman.
I'm gonna make a motion that we form an independent police executive panel with certain guidelines, a projection date, and and people who are doing it should have been in the police department and at the executive level, namely ex-chiefs or command staff.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there more discussion on the motion?
How about the guidelines that he just brought up? What are they?
You want to jump into that now?
Are you asking, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'm asking what the guidelines are, because it's part of what he's made a motion.
I would suggest that we enlist Mr. Vincent to lead this up, to bring people to this that he can find. I have reached out to MASC. They have professional consultants and trainers and so forth. That's what their businesses are. I did not speak to any of those people. But I would suggest that maybe Mr. Vincent would be the one to look for appropriate candidates.
And I believe Jared and I can actually set the guidelines as well.
And then council can look at that.
Correct.
Yeah, I would just like to make the comment, please, if we could submit those guidelines to council before moving forward. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion. We didn't say anything about the guidelines in there. You want to read what the motion says? Can you tell us? Or we don't look back at it quickly.
It was a motion to form an executive panel, preferably with people with police background, preferably executive staff. Did I get it?
So I would like to amend the motion to say, to make the motion to authorize the town administrator and attorney to develop guidelines and bring forth candidates for an independent panel to, and we can use investigate police retention.
I would second that verbiage. I second that motion.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. You say bring forward these people. Is that to bring forward to the council to vet these people, or who's going to vet? Or are we supposed to make the vetting decision on who does the investigation?
What I think, like, as we do with hiring, Mr. Vincent brings the candidates forward and we look and see if we agree on them. That's what I'm foreseeing this as. Is there any other comment? All right, so now we have a motion, and we did not put timing in this, and I don't think I want to at this point. I think we need to allow time for Mr. Vincent and Mr. Bouchette to do a little legwork first. So we have a motion to have the town administrator and town attorney set up guidelines and bring forth candidates to town council for approval to conduct an independent police retention investigation. Any other? You already did. I'm just repeating it. Yes.
Okay.
Just trying to repeat it. Okay, any other discussion on it? Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
The only reason I'm gonna vote positive for this is because Chief Hoffman asked for it. Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Craigwell,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
I'm going to vote yes too.
Mr. Walls,
For Kenny, yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. All right, we'll now move on to item 8A, or 8 business. 8A is golf cart donation for events department. Administrator Vincent?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. On a lighter note.
Thank you.
We have a donation of a golf cart to the town of Surfside Beach. So I believe Randy and Jeremy Huffman are in the audience, and they had contacted me about wanting to donate a golf cart to our town. So the donation of the golf cart will be primarily for a events division of the town to assist with the events throughout the year. And the golf cart, thanks to Chief Nelson, will be housed at the Surfside Fire Department. So I didn't know if Jeremy or Randy wanted to make a comment, but the recommendation, in order to accept this, council would need to accept and approve.
You want to come on up? Can you all stand up and at least let us meet? Come on up. Yeah, just coming up and tell us what you're doing. Very good business people.
Jeff, you're
very good people.
You didn't think you were gonna get away with it.
I was trying. I'm Brady Huffman, and this is my husband Jeremy Huffman, and we own Gone Coastal Carts across from Krabby Mike's, 311 Highway 17. And we've been in business in Surfside for a year now, and we've always been big public servants. I worked for the clerk of court before moving here. My husband was in law enforcement, so we are big community, people loving type people that like to be a major part and donate back, contribute to Surfside, and we just love you guys. And thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, not only are they good business people, but if you all don't recognize the work that they did on their business to make it attractive, I stopped by one day, I just drove by and I said, whoa, and had to turn around and come back to tell them how much I appreciate the work they did on their business. And it really looks nice. And I think the whole town appreciates. They may not realize it, but that is a huge change on that corner.
Yeah. So I think we need a motion to accept the donation.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey.
I make a motion that we accept the golf cart from Coastal Carts for the town of Surfside Beach.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have one question. I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure it's not against any of our ordinances to accept things from a private company. I heard that we can't do raffles, we can't accept donations. I'm not sure if that's true or not. And if so, then I would like to further that for events. If we can also do that, have people donate whatever for events to cut down on our costs. But I heard, I'm not sure who told me, I just want to make sure it's not against the ordinances to accept a donation from a private person.
Yeah, generally, any municipality can accept a donation, even a restricted donation. The only time you start to run into problems, generally speaking, is if somebody wanted to donate something for the town's use, for example, that may be a religious affiliation, conflicts with church and state and that kind of thing. So generally, there's no problem. I looked at our ordinance, I didn't see anything that would restrict just a straight up property donation, which is what we have here.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, then, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Trickle,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes,
Mayor Kraus.
And this is an easy one. Yes, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
thank you.
We're now moving on to item 8B, Booster Club contract, and Administrator Vincent again.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council, the athletic booster club agreement had expired in January of 2023. I know interim town administrator, Rob Clemens was working on this. Since then, the executive director had changed hands, or the president of the Booster Club Board of Directors. So Rusty McGill is here to your left, and he attended the council meeting on March the 12th. I was not able to attend that meeting, but I did read the minutes and watch the video to better understand what the concerns were of council. So the agreement before you is an agreement for 1 year, and the reason is for 1 year. Mr. Mayor, we wanted to go ahead and have the agreement signed and then schedule a workshop with their board of directors to better understand how they're going to proceed with the improvements with Huckabee Field and Martin Field complex. And also, I understand that Mr. Coleman had a question regarding a comment where it said maintain and upgrade. So we took the upgrade out of the agreement, and everything was in place except for the date. So it'll go from 1 year from today, which is April 9th, 2025.
All right, are there any questions about this agreement?
Mr. Mayor,
We need a motion.
I guess, yeah, we need a motion to.
I make a motion to,
Sorry.
accept the Atlantic Booster Club agreement.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just one, I don't know if it's typo or not. Under 1B, it says the parties have negotiated and agreed to the within terms. To the terms, or is it to the within terms?
With terms.
To the within?
To the within terms. Is that legal jargon?
Again, this agreement was written 2 years ago, so I thought I scanned it thoroughly, but
To the within terms.
to the terms.
I think you just dropped
I think within is it's correct, it's kind of one of those unnecessary words.
Oh,
But
okay.
it doesn't make it incorrect or change it.
Right. You never know, all things.
That's right.
Do we need to amend the motion, or is this gonna be acceptable? Okay. All right. Any other comments? I just want to say then that I was one of the ones that asked for the 1-year term, and I just want to make Mr. McGill in particular understand that, you know, I'm not concerned about it. I just didn't want to tie up anything for 5 years without knowing what's going on. We got some feedback from our own residents here about Martinfield more than Huckabee. But I just wanted to hear your guys' proposals for the upgrades and fundraising that you thought you could do. And I think that will go a whole lot better after your season. And then we can convene in, you know, late summer, early fall, whatever, bring you back in the board and do a workshop that's a little less formal than this meeting and, you know, just go from there. So that's the only thing I wanted to do with it. Any other comments? All right, then, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckle,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey.
Yeah.
Mr. Walls.
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. All right, motion carries unanimously. We are now on to item 8C, committee appointments. And we've got Stormwater and Zoning Board of Appeals. I got the Zoning Board of Appeals in front of me first. Mr. Phil Murdoch, who has been on the committee for some amount of years and is just applying for reinstatement. Do we have a motion to accept Mr. Murdoch?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I make a motion to reinstate or reappoint Mr. Phil Murdoch to the zoning board of appeals.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckle.
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. We now have a Stormwater Committee appointment, Dixie Button. Quite a resume.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be hiring instead of, okay, enough of that. Do we have a motion to?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I make a motion that we appoint Dixie Button to the Stormwater Committee.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Lady Saint Hood? With this resume.
Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckle.
Yes.
Mr. Stamey.
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yeah.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. All right, we're now moving into 8D, Peer Committee recommendations, and we have the chairman, Mr. Dusty McCracken. And we're gonna have to take a minute to bring this up. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit. It's going, right? Yeah.
So while we wait on that, just give you good evening, council and residents. I'm the chairman of the peer committee. We're consisted of 5 residents. We have 2 new members. We have a member that has rejoined the peer committee, and then also 2 existing, which would be me and John Hott. So just thank y'all for having us tonight. The agenda tonight is basically, we're going to review outstanding town council directives. Peer committee is going to make a recommendation on peer binoculars. And then also, the mayor had sent out to all chairmen about just coming to report out what our work has been going on, and since we've been reinstated, and also some of the work that we were working on before. And that's pretty much the summary. Next slide, please. So outstanding items in November 2022, town council, the peer committee came to make recommendations to the town council. And they had voted to have the administration to explore costs of particular items. So basically what these items are, just to bring it back to your attention, to say, hey, we haven't seen any progress on this or anything. So just curious if the new council is still curious about this, because it is a recommendation still from the peer committee. And those items would be a photo op. So basically that's attraction to promote social media shares, support tourism, and create an iconic photo spot. And back in November 22, we were exploring revenue and what kind of funds we could pay for such a thing. So I know we were looking into utilizing the Chamber of Commerce money. I think we got some feedback and stuff back from that. But I think what we really need from a peer committee is just to be able to identify the areas that are eligible for a photo op on the pier. If that's related to on ground level, or if that's related to on the pier, what can we add? And just kind of a cost factor of that. We're not recommending anything of spending money or anything. We're just recommending us to be able to get the research completed to say, hey, these items are where we can place them, and then we can determine from there what kind of photo op and stuff we may be able to utilize. It's a good tool to attract tourism, and also increases lead district businesses, and then also creates flow throughout town as well. The next item recommended in November 2022 was flagpoles. So parking lot entrance flagpoles at the national, state, and level. As you can see on the slide, we have a town Surfside Beach flag. We thought that would be really neat to offer in maybe at town hall, just selling flags. I know I would like to have a town Surfside Beach flag on my porch, but currently we don't offer that. But the real thing is many tourist areas and stuff, and also being American, you want to see that American flag up there. I personally do in the state of South Carolina. I think John Dare replied to us today to say that it could be a cost factor anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 to complete. And then also it would be determined based on our current ordinances, and then also if there's any water utilities or power utilities in that spacing there. So again, this is a cost analysis. This is what we're asking for, and then also to see if it's even eligible to be done, and then it could be represented to council. Town space roll-up doors, we also presented that in November 2022. The peer committee has been working a long time on suggesting a possible retail location utilized on the pier in the small space. We're not asking or presenting that to council at any time tonight, but we will, again, looking for cost estimates to be able to present a recommendation to council. So I know that we can put RFPs out and stuff, and we're not obligated to follow through on any of that. So if we could just get a cost estimate or something that states how much it would be to convert a roll-up door is what we're asking for.
And I'll move ahead. I went back to the description, but I think you're talking the lower part of that slide.
Yeah. So also peer rules, council approved peer rules back in the day, and there's some grammatical errors in that peer rules. I believe John Adair has already been working on that, and he's going to have those corrected. So nothing to do there. We do have some soft estimates and stuff, but we can't unilaterally obtain floral bids. So we request administration action to secure those true costs. And as I mentioned, in November 22, that council came to consensus and moved forward with a motion to see cost analysis at that time. So moving on from there, you saw the slide on the photo ops. If you can go back. Yeah. So photo ops, as you can see, there's some from the Second Avenue Pier, Yellowstone National Park, other maybe Ripley's Aquarium has some. It invites people in here, and then also creates a situation where they're sharing on social media or other avenues and it creates something that's in memory of Surfside Beach. So I think photo ops would be great for that area down there. A lot of people like to take pictures, and 20 or 30 years, I know there's a lot of older pictures out there of Surfside Beach with some festival activities down the bottom, oak cars and all that stuff, and that's really neat. So just thinking about that in 25 years, us and the younger folks, I mean, that's really important to us. So a good thing to look into, and again, just a cost analysis. All right, we'll go to town space if you got that one. So town space and accessibility, we have the potential to turn overhead into a revenue generation. Existing use in the smaller, I believe it's like a 10 by 11 space where currently Public Works has a town, the peer maintenance folks office there. We, as a peer committee, we particularly don't think it should be used for document storage or utilized for a Public Works office. We feel like that pier, we spend a lot of pier money on that pier, and we feel like that space could be better utilized. We're looking to replace the fixed glass panels with a lift door and counter for the town, and then also a garage stall door. And if you can see the picture there, like the Borgata is kind of what we're thinking about. So that way, when pier walkers and stuff are going up and down the pier, there's a window there. They can be your informational booth. They can talk about other things in Surfside Beach. And that space could be flex space. It could be used for a pier maintenance office as well as a town store or a retail establishment. So don't think that we want to move the pier maintenance folks or anything. The place will still be air conditioner there, and the town staff can all work together in that area. So don't think that we're trying to run pier maintenance or anything off of that. All right, I already talked about the rules there. There was a grammatical error that John is doing that. For those three recommendations, that would be my first three recommendations. Just seeking what council's direction is on those three items, so that we can move forward as a
So you're just asking it not to approve them, but just to look into them?
So
a
motion was approved on the last council to move forward with seeking out cost analysis for these items, and then we would bring it back to council to make the final decision.
Okay, well, then I guess we're gonna take a little, not break, but we'll pause here and I'll open it up to questions. So, clarifications from the rest of council.
I think, is this the point, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is this the point to where probably we should read him to the record? John Adair responded to me because I know you don't believe it, John, but I am the peer liaison.
Mm-hmm.
I've just introduced myself. I've been at your meetings as a member of council.
Yes, sir.
But John Adair was nice enough to forward on some of his feedback on your presentation, just saying that not having given the opportunity to review current recommendations prior to bringing it to council, he just wanted to offer the following. Would this be the opportunity for me to read these into the minutes? With regard to the the photo op, our staff has already installed a Key West totem pole with colorful distances to various locations. Many folks are using it already to take photos. It is railing mounted and doesn't use up pier area. Additional items are fine, but we have to be cognizant of the potential for clutter, particularly if we begin renting kiosk spaces. With regard to flagpoles, Mr. Adair's feedback was, assuming this proximity to the road sidewalk is permitted by ordinance, the cost is $2,500 to $3,000 each, plus lighting upgrades. There is a lot of power water lines running underneath that area, and we would have to see of which had sufficient clearance to dig proper holes for the flagpole bases. So that was just his feedback on that. The pier rules, signs being redone. The town space, the concept, design, and construction of this space was to be for employees to staff and also for educational opportunities. The TV window will serve that purpose. That's his feedback. The maintenance operation needs space. Were they to be moved to the attic, not only would that be demoralizing, the town would have to install HVAC in that space, which is not there, for many thousands of dollars. The owner of Perry's Bait and Tackle has already agreed to sell town merchandise at a commission without paying salaries or providing additional employee parking spots. The town will likely realize the same revenue. Installing a window opening is not a good solution. It would be closed for almost half the year with cold winds. and humidity would quickly deteriorate the HVAC system. With mold in the air returns. The Surf Diner declined garage doors for this reason. Existing town staff already function as a source for help, information, and emergency reporting and ambassadorship. Introducing a town retail component to the pier would require a level of oversight and management that I cannot provide, so another outlay person would be needed. Charleston County Parks has hundreds of employees and managers. With regard to binoculars, already.
We haven't gotten binoculars yet.
Oh, he didn't do.
Yeah, we haven't done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
So
thought we
that's
were to a
okay.
point
That's okay.
where we were looking at.
No, we were just going over the recommendations, the recommendations that were
Okay.
made a year ago.
Well, I have some feedback.
Yeah, no, we'll bring it back at that point. We'll bring it back at that point.
I would like
Mr. State.
I would like to make a recommendation that we proceed in finding a cost for the flagpoles. I think that is a great idea. Go ahead and proceed. I think we ought to go ahead and proceed with that part of it. I'm all aboard about that.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Shaw?
I like the input that John Adair gives, but at the same time, where did these approvals come from when he said, the small area was for his employees? I do not remember that. Who actually approved for 2 employees that would be their office? So I think we need to walk back some of the things because having another company sell stuff for us, we're gonna make less money. We are. And we're not even making money because it's a town hall. It's not visible. So I think we should allow the peer committee to walk through these ideas, gets the pros and cons, and don't knock them down right from the beginning, because there are certain things that were done on that pier that were not approved by council.
Any other comment?
I think Vincent wants to respond to that.
I just would, to that comment, I wasn't a part of the design, but I believe the design of the town space was not for retail. It was recommended for retail. And as far as the cost on the apparel is Mr. Perry's Bait and Tackle, we're gonna sell it at his store for our same price, so we're gonna make the same money. He's just gonna add his percentage to it. So we're not gonna lose money on that apparel at all. So we haven't had an official agreement yet with Craig, but we're gonna bring that back to council. But unofficially, that's what we agreed to.
Mayor, may I respond?
Sure.
It's my understanding that our town merchandise is pretty much sold at cost, so there's no profit in that in any way of us allowing Surfside Beach merchandise to be sold on the pier. Terry's may benefit from that, but it's my understanding that we don't really have a revenue generator on our town merchandise already.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
Dusty, I would like you to look around and see if you see another location to put the flags, because we should have them. And the question is, do they go where you've shown them? And if there's a problem there, find another location. We should do that.
Yes, sir.
I think everybody up here wants those flags. It's just a matter of where you can put them.
When we made the original motion, we didn't have a specified area, but I think it originally was, we were told that it was gonna be done when we did the parking lot, and it ended up not being done. So that's kind of what we were waiting on, and we really don't have a specific area that we want the poles. It's just, we do really want to recommend them.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey?
I'd like to follow up on that, Dusty. If we can't get them there, and I prefer that they be out there, be the best place for them. But I'm like Mr. Kinkin, can't be there, find somewhere, whatever what the cost is and what it's going to be.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Shaw?
I'd like to clarify, though, that space that Public Works is using, was that approved for them to take over that area?
Yes.
It was?
Yes. It was it's the original concept, but the recommendation from the peer committee was to perhaps utilize it for retail.
But I do like the idea from the peer committee that it is still big enough to share, because John Adair's employees are not gonna be sitting in there. They're gonna be out and about constantly. That's a busy pier. So it's not like they need the whole area. So I still think we need to relook at that. I don't think we should shut that down. I just think it would be very profitable. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas. It's just not t-shirts and sweatshirts. You guys came up with a good hats and cups, and they talked about, you know, on the banner with, online things that, you know, people are flying in there and they don't have the space in their luggage. You know, they could write that down, but they gotta see it. And, I think that's too much to ask for another business on the pier for that. So I don't think these ideas should be shut down. I just think we need a little bit more information.
Yeah, I'm not presenting the town store at the moment. That's not the recommendation for the day, but we do have, we are reporting out some of our work tonight, and you will see some of those figures and stuff as well.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wallace.
I'd just like to clarify that I wasn't shooting down anything. I was simply sharing what our professional peer manager took a great deal of time to comment just for input to the minutes with regard to these subjects. This is not me, okay? This is Mr. Adair, and he wasn't able to be here tonight. So please, thank you.
Any other comments? All right, what I think I heard, and I do have some background there, was that these ideas were, let me choose the words carefully, approved by town council to consider, to get costs. It's been pending for a year and a half.
Yes, sir.
So really, that's what you're asking.
Yes, sir.
So I think we can ask the administrator to look, and we already got some feedback from Director Adair about some issues with it. I think ultimately, this is probably gonna have to be another workshop type item, but we should look at these and officially decide yes or no, not based on just what the administration thinks or what the peer committee thinks. It should be those ideas brought with the administration weighing in, and that we should decide that at a council level. So I don't think we need any motions, because council as a body, I mean, it wasn't all of us, approved this a year and a half ago to look into it. And I'm sure we can find the minutes.
I've provided them to Sherry.
I have them.
So I don't think we need anything else on that, but the points are still well taken. I mean, this is the stuff we need to consider. And quite frankly, as a plug, that's what the peer committee asked for a year and a half ago, to bring this forward. And we could have been well past this by this stage.
Yeah.
So I think unless there's other comments on this, we can move on. And
all right, next recommendation will be coin-operated binoculars. Of course, John Adair in his notes that he provided there, he is going to say that this is in the works. But of course, the peer committee has been working on this for quite a long time. We have our own thoughts about placement and stuff like that as well. Not that John has approached us, but he is attending our meetings and everything. So I do feel like a partnership and communication will definitely improve over the project. Because I will tell you, I'll be reading the responsibility of the peer committee in a minute. We are to look into operational issues or improvements. So therefore, as things roll up like a binocular or anything, I think the committee should have some kind of input in that. So that's just the feeling of the peer committee. We want to be involved and I want to be taking care of some of those ideas as well. So a recommendation on coin-operated binoculars. We suggested A and A accommodations and hospitality tax funded set of binoculars installed on the pier. I'm not sure where John is getting his funding for, but that's something we can look into. The location to be determined and in consultation with Public Works, of course. We looked into what the cost factor would be, and that is about $3,800 a piece, so that would total out to $7,600. We think this is attraction for children and non-fishers, so When we think about the pier committee thinks of it as we want to cater to everybody. We want to cater to the families. We want to cater to fishermen. We want to cater to the sightseers. If you're there for sunsets or whatever, I think we should have a little bit of everything that is attractable for each guest on the pier. So ability to view Murder Beach and other piers, et cetera, and this will be self-funded. So again, in most of our recommendations, all of it will typically pay for itself over a certain amount of years. I think outside of the flagpoles is the only recommendation that would be not revenue based. Promotes foot traffic to the pier businesses and purchase to create change. I will say that each one of these things they actually provide different bases and stuff on these fixtures, so we don't have to secure it to the pier. They're weighted bases you can get that it doesn't have to be bolted in to the pier or anything like that. And then also you don't even have to use a base if we had some kind of base that we could put on the railings or something else as well. So that would be our recommendation for coin-operated binoculars to be funded in future by accommodations or hospitality tax.
Okay,
That's it, so, okay.
is this where, okay, I just needed to read in.
Go ahead, Mr. Watson.
Please, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
And like you said, John just said already in the works, but he did make the comment that we cannot place it on the 36-foot wide section of the pier, is that it's crowded with fishermen. So that's the only input he had for us there.
Yes, sir.
But we could find it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman.
do you have any statistics, how much money that will bring in?
I personally don't, but I mean, I can get that research for you and send it to you, but.
I'm just curious how much, not that it's imperative, I think it's a good draw. I've always stuck a quarter in the binoculars and take a look around. People
Yes,
do
sir.
that.
Probably $1 now. Just kidding.
Right? Any other comments on this? You have more still?
That's the recommendation, but I mean, I want to cover our workflow real quick.
Okay.
Well, I had one final thing that was in his presentation regarding the commemorative plaques.
Well,
That's in a different summary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're going somewhere else first? Okay. I'll wait. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So, are you asking for a motion that we?
That's
Take
up
this
to
on.
you. I mean, our recommendation is to set aside future funding from accommodations or hospitality tax. I'm not sure if the administrator is aware of where the funding is coming from currently, but typically in a tourist attraction kind of item like this, I wouldn't want it to come out of any other fund. I mean, that's administrative or the general fund or anything. I think accommodations and hospitalities is exactly what this item would be for.
And so you're not asking for costing because you have it here, and that looks like a pretty exact number.
Yes, we looked on the manufacturer of those marked ones.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion to pursue the coin-operated binoculars?
I guess to work it into the next accommodations application?
Well, I'm going to suggest we just hold off on it at this point, and when we get this other information back, we look at it as another item. And I think you'll have more stuff to look at before too long, so I don't know that we need to vote on this one right now. I think with the budget process going on, we'll look at the A and H tax as the next allocations come up probably. But I'm open to any other ideas. All right. Proceed, please.
All right, thank you for inviting us tonight to talk about what we've been working on, Mayor and Council. The responsibility of the peer committee is, the primary responsibility of the peer committee is to assist the town in soliciting and executing prudent strategy and policy for the commercial use and available space on and surrounding the Surfside Beach Fishing Pier. In fulfilling its responsibility, the peer committee shall perform functions that include, but are not necessarily limited to, the following: identify potential uses, mobile and permanent, businesses and/or purposes that would benefit in the town, evaluate potential uses for pros and cons, including obtaining feedback from the town stakeholders. They also will identify the potential market value of lease space and potential candidates for targeted requests for proposal processes. They will also engage in addressing potential operational issues and improvements that may arise over time. And they also provide recommendations to town council, including the pros and cons of such recommendations. So after the peer committee was relaunched, basically what we did, we started with a priority list that we ranked per member, and then we combined them and created a priority list that we think we should be working on first through last. We also have some items around plaques and the town store concept as well. Some of those items is kiosks on and around the pier, so that process would be like an agreement, and then also where we place those and stuff like that. We have on the priority list to offer space for the town store and shift to a retail environment. Online merchandise store, recreation and amenity list with the cost. So we have been having discussions around probably a life-size Connect Four, some volleyball court to be reinstalled on the beach area like it used to be. And then also just some friendly and fun family games and stuff to be able to take advantage of as well. Live event scheduling, an annual event schedule, and then also align some weekend bands and stuff up to attract individuals. Peer plaques for purchase, photo ops, peer logo contest, which will be soon recommended. We're looking to solicit some the public in creating a peer logo just for the peer. We talked about changing stations, grand opening plans, events that we will partner with the tenants and stuff on the pier. Some of those events are crab races and fishing contests, and then also offering some kind of maybe a kid family fishing instruction or guides. We thought that would be as well, and I think Perry's on board with that as well. We talked about fishing catch boards and records to be able to record all the good catches and stuff. We talked about a new sign on Business 17, possibly in the future an observation deck, coin-operated binoculars, public Wi-Fi, and parking lot flagpoles. Peer plaques, an opportunity to create and preserve memories. The peer committee recommends moving forward with an RFP vendor selection sales solicit and have additional plaques and pavers placed in advance of the grand opening. Used to, we were thinking about placing pavers into the parking lot and having those engraved and stuff, but we moved away from that for the cost factor and of course the way the sand and stuff moves down there. We didn't think that was appropriate anymore from John and Darius's response. So we talked about family and memorial plaques. The Marsh Walk currently, if you've ever been down there, you see all the plaques on the side of the railings and stuff. Their current price model is small, $500, medium, $700 to $100, and the large is $1,000. Not that that's the route we're going, but just to let you know that's the cost of the plaques in the Marsh Walk. That's the potential revenue source for the town as well. Then we also talked about the order, maybe some of the verbiage and stuff we utilize in that application. And then that creates an estimated opportunity. We thought around 200 plaques, and that could possibly, at a 60% margin, create $132,000 in net proceeds for the town. And that's pretty much the next slide. So in the town store location, I'm going to invite Alex Samsel as one of our members. He's going to come up and talk about the town store with you. So welcome, Alex.
Thanks. Mr. Mayor, council, good to see you. Thanks getting along. I'm going to talk fast if everybody's good with that. So, elephant in the room, Mr. Walls, thanks for raising John Adair's counterpoints. We have different perspective on this, right? We're locked in battle. He wants it the way it is now. We've got different thoughts, and we're trying to get a little out in front of that. This is not a formal recommendation. It's just, I'll quickly walk through our concept of this design, and perhaps somewhere in the middle is a hybrid solution where all parties can be happy. So that picture you're looking at, it's an aerial view from out in the ocean looking inward, inland. On the left, you've got Surf Diner. They've got great indoor size. They've got outdoor dining. In the middle there, that's Drippy's. They're slinging ice cream. Behind it is Perry's. And to the right there, you've got two glass walls. It's an 11 by 11 space, and it looks like my high school gym teacher's office. It's got a metal and laminate desk with a filing cabinet off to the side. That's the most expensive corner in this town. If this was your pier and you owned it, you would not do that. None of you would do it, and if so, I'd ask for you to cough up the money to pay the rent on that. So, flip to the next slide. I say it in jest. So it's roughly 11 by 11 space, 120 some odd square feet. This is just a generic mock. This can go 100 different ways. 2 walls of merchandise that are currently just drywall painted. A couple of merchandise racks inside of it and a sales counter. It can be as simple as that. We can arrange it to be ADA compliant. This is if we do not go with a roll-up door. One of the concerns that Adair stated that you read off was open air is going to destroy things. We should probably take that concept, tell it to Salt Air, Garden City Pier, Neil and Clams, and Scotland. Yes, Salt Air destroys stuff, but if we go down that road, let's eliminate the entire pier. Just get rid of it because it's going to erode. Right, so I love John Adair on this particular item. We're different. Everything else it does, I think, is amazing. You move forward to the next slide. We have a current vendor, Oryx Designs. They do web presence, which is virtually free. So instead of someone hopping over to town hall or even going to the store, they can hop online, order a bunch of stuff. They do just-in-time inventory filling. So from a previous council member, was we don't want the burden of all these t-shirts stuck in someone's attic. No, get a couple of each size. They do just-in-time. They do drop ship. I can go in there and order, and it'll be in my house in a couple of days. As a town, we could order. It'll be here in a couple of days. Simple as that. Next slide, please. A couple of examples of our brand or mock brands on a variety of items. We can do anything we want. Salt shakers, magnets, you name it. Next slide. And we can try stuff too at low cost. Let's buy 4 magnets, see if they sell. Well, they do. Maybe we could raise the price. Maybe we should order more of them. Folly Beach and Mount Pleasant, as a team, we took a trip out there. Folly Beach merchandise sales. So they also sell hot dogs and other stuff, but just their merchandise sales while the pier was under construction was over $800,000. Mount Pleasant was about $250,000. When we asked, what do you sell? And they pointed to, well, we've got this big store the size of this room at Folly Beach, but that corner over there is what we actually sell. It's t-shirts, hats, towels. That makes up more than everything else. We've got hot sauces and other stuff that just collect dust. So the square footage of what they actually sell and turn over in inventory is very similar to our very tiny space, which right now looks like a locker room. Next slide. Here's some economics. It's micro print. I'll get to the bottom line. If we only do what Mount Pleasant did, I think we're going to draw more than Mount Pleasant, and no one's been there. I think we might be a bigger draw. But if we only do what Mount Pleasant does in sales, not only do we pay for staff on the pier, we actually generate a profit. Keep in mind, right now, we don't make any money on the space, and we spend money on 2 employees on there. So as owners of the pier, if you were, that would be a more attractive alternative. Maybe have a couple of existing staff that can work some hours. We could have some interns from Coastal Carolina. Right? There's a lot of different ways to do this creatively. If we generate sales like like Folly Beach, we generate $360,000, which oddly enough is just about how much we pay on our bond. So I asked the town council to consider, as fast as you would scratch your head and wonder if we should raise millage, take that same speed and wonder if you should actually try to pay for that space, not have an expense of 2 staff that are there, and give yourself the opportunity to either pay for the bond, pay for the staff, or just get ahead financially, because as things exist right now, the pier is not going to be a profit center. I think there's another slide here. All right, 8 bullet points on reasons to do it, high foot traffic area, blah, 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 blah. Let me address some of the concerns. It was raised, and Mr. Walls, you said, it'll be demoralizing to our staff.
I didn't know, please.
Have you read it all? It'll be demoralizing to our staff for them to not have the most expensive oceanfront office in town.
Well put.
To me, it's demoralizing as a resident to have that looking like a locker room. So there's an offsetting fact there. The binoculars, it's too crowded with fishermen to put it in prime locations. I go to Garden City Pier a lot, grab beers there, love it. I never have a problem moseying on up. So Myrtle Beach was shut down for a long period of time. We didn't have a pier. And still, I could find any place I generally like along. There is space. There is 1,600 round trip feet to walk on that pier. If we can't find 2 3-foot sections, which is 0.003% of the space, without worrying about fishermen, in order for someone who doesn't fish to be able to get up to the railing and look out in binoculars, I think our priority is a little off. We sell merchandise, we can sell merchandise through Perry's. First of all, we sell our merchandise too low. If you're going down to those other 2 pier stores, their t-shirts are nearing $30. I'm not suggesting the town give them for every dollar they can, but at the same time, if our competitors are doing it, they're making money from it. We're not doing it. And we have a place to have that transaction. And we could literally do it on an iPad. We could do drop ship. Someone's here on vacation. Oh, we'll have this to your house for $7.99, and by the time you get home, or you can buy what we have here in inventory. Like, a lot of logic to this. Don't settle on convenience. This is something new. The convenient thing is to say, this is how we've done it. We've appointed someone to be in charge of the pier. They want this space for themselves. That's okay. I would too. I get it. And this is not against the director, but try something new. This is very low risk. On the previous slide you have, you take it home with it. The entry cost to try this is very low. Your worst case scenario is no one buys anything. You pull a bunch of merchandise back to town hall and you sell it there. And through the budgeting process, your responsibility with the budget, my final point, is to walk away with a balanced budget. That's reasonable, logical, and defensible. That's all you have to do. I've laid out a worst case, what I deem a worst case scenario. Over a 12-month span, this is a profitable venture. This is not a budget expense. This is not, we don't have money to staff this for 120 hours a week. No, well, if we follow the plan and sell a reasonable amount of merchandise, we're gonna make money. So when you put together your budget, it's not gonna be, where do I come up with this extra money? This is budget neutral plus. So this should not be a budget conversation of we don't have the money. This is simply, do you trust simple economics or the math? Or do you want to continue to spend money on 2 staff, which is pure overhead? That's my sales pitch. I'm done. 10 minutes.
All right.
So we're coming back with a formal recommendation, which you'll vote on. We just wanted to fend off some countering opinions that are starting to float out there. That's all we're doing. That's the year.
Alex Sampson, guys. So yeah, is there another slide?
Yeah, I was gonna say another.
And one more, we've already talked about that one. So summary, of course, tonight we approached you about photo wild flagpoles and Pier Town space. Thank you for listening to that. The recommendations on binoculars, thank you for that. On the deck, of course, that is the work we are working on. We plan to give you a recommendation on plaques and town store, and then also work through our priority items as well. And as you heard Alex say, all of our recommendations and work through the Pier Committee is creating a revenue source to pay for these items. It's not the town. It's not going to be a consistent burden of the town or anything in the future. It's creating mechanisms that create funds for the town. And then also back to the store merchandise, he didn't specify it, but of course, when I was talking about we use general fund money currently to buy the store merchandise, which we're not allowed to do that at a profit. If we utilize the pier fund money to purchase merchandise and stuff, we're allowed to do that as a profit. So I just want to clear that up.
No, thanks for clarifying.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, before you get going,
Mr. Stanley.
a little bit off of this topic, are y'all looking at kiosks on the space for putting kiosks on the pier?
Yes, sir. We're currently working on that. Should probably have a recommendation pretty good. We have the application process and everything we're fixing to submit to the town hall so that they can put their ideas and stuff into it, and then we're going to ask them to represent it to us, and then we're going to provide it to you guys.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
I have a couple comments. The kiosks, I think you finally found out they don't have to go home every night.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, You have a,
Well, I'm sorry, sir. They do have to be removed
they
from
have to
here.
be for storms, but not every night.
No, they have to be removed nightly. Now, we have did our own research and from laws and regulations, and we still challenge that a little bit. But that's the future. I think we should just move forward right now with what we can get on the pier with kiosk, and then we can talk about that stuff later. But currently, right now, what's told to us is that all the kiosks have to be removed nightly.
Okay. You have your Oxy Design. Why not use them and take the space and do that for display? Not actually sell anything other than here's what's available. And so people could come up and order online what they see in that window.
Yeah, I'm a store manager of Food Line, so when I buy food, I want it in my hand. I want to feel the quality of it. I want to feel the texture, what it looks like on me possibly, stuff like that. So I agree on certain items, we could probably have that. But the good thing about the online store is they don't have to be at the fair. They don't have to be at the town hall. They can go through our website or social media, drop shop. Hey, if somebody's wanting merchandise before they ever come and want to wire Surfside Beach all over them while they're here vacation, they could have it drop shipped and shipped it to their home. And then it also allows us to have a more broad selection of merchandise. We can make a profit from things we probably won't carry in that little small space. So that's what that's and that is our current provider that we use for our store merchandise right now.
Well, you said, well, maybe I want to feel it. Well, just walk over to Perry's. The same merchandise is in Perry's. The difference is you buy it at Perry's right today, but if you buy it online, it either comes to your condo or it comes to your house when you get home.
Yeah, also we're thinking about redesigning some of our stuff. Some of our stuff is generic. We want to create some design and stuff that is attractable to tourists. So Perry's may not be able to utilize what we design. Maybe it's just specific to the pier and trademarked or whatever, and maybe we'll give them licensing or something. But currently, I mean, this is what I'm saying. The town is working on something that the pier committee has been working on for 18 months, and they're making decisions on items that we've already wanted to recommend. And they're making decisions as far as commission. Well, that's not our recommendation. I mean, what I'm saying as far as John Adair, we've been working on the town store concept for over a year and a half. Why wasn't this feedback provided to us in advance? It was provided to me tonight. So that's just what I'm saying.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Michelle?
I think this would be very profitable for the town. I don't think anybody needs to sell our brand but us, so we can get the full profit. And like you say, I was at Neil and Pam's one night and I got cold. I bought that $60 sweatshirt because I was cold. So that's money in our pocket, and I think that's the way we should go.
Mr. Coleman?
I like the town store merchandise. I think we're past the roll-up door though. You could have gotten it right away, yeah, that would have been fine, but I think it's not gonna be cost effective. You already have you have a door, they can get in. Like you said, people like to put their hands on it. If they're at a window, they're not gonna have the same pick up little trinkets or all that. I like the merchant. I agree with Alex about the greatest store, the greatest office on Oceanside. And, I think we should do more with it. If we don't use it, we should have somebody to come in and sell t-shirts there, because that will make a profit. Having somebody sitting in the office, I'd rather have them outside doing what he's supposed to do. When you have an office and a couple of file cabinets and a chair, people tend to, they tend to maybe close their eyes. And that's not what this is all about. And it sounds great. Alex, great job, and you really convinced me. Thank you.
All right, well, thank y'all. Do you have any more questions?
Any other comments? Okay, I have some comments. We didn't really talk about kiosks, but Mr. Kinkman brought up, who gave the determination now that they have to be removed nightly? What agency?
Well, FEMA, South Carolina, I guess Coastal Carolina Ocean Resource, I guess. We had that information. And also John Adair and Sabrina was a part of that as well. back in the day when we determined that.
Okay, well, yeah, I remember the old discussions, but yeah, okay. And then you talked about licensed merchandise, would that, that you might want to change some stuff here specific, would that be with this logo contest you guys are?
Yeah, so
doing?
what we really want to do is get that logo going, get that logo contest out there, create a logo, and then also create some designs above that logo as well. I don't think the logo is going to be on every shirt because, everybody just don't want that, their logo probably. But we'll offer a variety of designs and stuff. We'll work with our vendor, with the t-shirt contractor, and then we'll go from there. They do these design work and stuff like that.
All right, so we went through, and the slide you have now, photo op, flagpoles, roll-up door counter, and the rule sign is not really part of it, but the other three, we've basically said that they're open items to the administration, so we need to finalize them. And, we can get with Mr. Vincent and get answers for that. The recommendation we didn't pursue at this time for the binoculars. The town store, the plaques, I don't think there's anything controversial about the plaques. I honestly thought when the previous peer committee was suspended, that had been, was going to be pursued.
I think we presented it, but also, we haven't been involved in that after the fact either. We had suggestions around making it some kind of coastal theme, certain sizes, stuff like that. So, we haven't been a part of that, so I was unaware until today in his response that any of that had been worked on, so.
So there, is that what you're showing me? There is something going on?
Yeah, John sent me a sheet as an attachment to that email that he's got 5. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
He's got 5 different samples of plaques.
I wasn't provided that.
I think it kind of falls in then with the other stuff. We just need to see where we are.
Yeah,
with
Mr.
those
Mayor,
plaques.
he did present that to the former council, and he brought these samples here for council.
Okay, I kind of remember something. I just, yeah, the details are a little hazy. I guess what I'm going to suggest then at this point is, yeah, we got these few things for the administration to look through, so we can address those, where we are right now. The town store is a big deal. It's probably another type of workshop item. And I guess the binoculars, and well, we'll see again where the plaques are, but I would probably just suggest that they come in as a second recommendation once we know what we're doing with the town store. That's just my personal opinion. Any other comments, questions for Mr. McCracken? Thank you very much, sir.
Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, we are getting near the end. Item 8E, Planning Director job description. Councilmember Krecklow.
Well, it came to my attention that we're not getting people to apply for the position. And so I would like to make a motion that we remove the requirement from the planning and zoning director job description that the requirement that ICC building official certification preferred or must be able to obtain certification within 2 years of employment be removed.
Would you, before we get into any discussion, would you just change that to a motion?
You did.
Yeah. Oh, you
said I
made a
make a
motion?
motion.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was shuffling.
Okay.
My fault. We need a second.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, even if I didn't catch it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say that the town has lost our last 2 PB&Z directors because of this. Neither one of the last 2 obtained their certification for the CBO. And so it must be, I've been told that you actually have to have a certain amount of working, I don't know, OJT or something, I don't know. But maybe that's what it is. I don't know what the problem is, but I do know that the last 2 were not able to get it within 2 years or didn't get it within 2 years. So I'm just suggesting we remove it. I don't believe it was there before the last 2, And most towns do not require their planning, building, and zoning director to have CBO certification. So that's my reasoning behind it.
All right, before we get too far into the comment, is there anybody who wants to speak against removing this requirement?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shaw?
my concern is we hired somebody at top dollar, but then we had to pay someone to come in from Myrtle Beach to sign off the paperwork. So if you're going to remove it and not make that a qualification, then you also have to change the salary, because we still have to pay somebody to sign the paperwork. So, I think so we're having a hard time, that's fine. You want to remove it, but it should not, and I'm repeating this again, to hire somebody at a top dollar like they have this certification. It's wrong. Because then in return, we're paying more money, and we're supposed to be more budget awareness here. We're trying to balance a budget, and here we're eliminating a qualification, but I don't see anything in here where we're changing the salary.
Any other comments? Mr. Kinkin?
Sean, I appreciate your opinion because I have a slightly different, but I'm against taking this off because we're a small department. At most, there's 5 people in that department, and these guys have to go to training. So if our CBO, even if it's somebody that we hire, leaves, somebody has to do that. One of the biggest builders in our town almost left because he couldn't get an inspection, an electrical inspection, for 3 weeks, which meant that job stopped. There was nothing else could be done. And the director, if it had the CBO, could have gone out and done the inspection, and he could have kept on moving. And I know it's been hard to get somebody with this requirement. And we do give them up to 2 years, and it's an open book test. Now, I've never tried to take it, but it's not an unusual ask. And I think that we need to continue to look, because if not, we're going to get one of the 2 that was here before back again. I just don't think that's the best move for this town. I think we need to find somebody that can do the job and do it well and be here as a fill-in. Not that they're going to be doing CBO work every day, but when there's a need, they will be here. And that's why I'm objecting to taking that off. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wallace?
I would agree with the comments from Mr. Kinkin up to, well, completely, but I'd like to add to that. I wonder, since one of the people that we had on here that did not require in 2 years was relieved of their position. And then the second one resigned, I guess, because that was perceived as coming at them, a repeat of that. I would also worry about, if we change the language, how does that expose us to previous? Would it stand on that current ordinance at that time, or job description at that time, and we could change it legally or properly? Would it place the town in a position of getting sued?
Mr. Walls, my understanding is the last director resigned.
Right.
Might have resigned. Maybe this might have been part of her decision to resign, but the town is not locked into a prior requirement. If it says based on the current market conditions for employment, we have to make our change, then you're certainly within your ability to do that.
Okay.
The only thing that could conceivably be an issue, if there was some issue that there was a requirement on her that not on others, some type of discriminatory type thing. But everything I'm hearing is that we're just kind of, like a better term, at wit's end and are having to make an adjustment. So, you never know, but I don't see a realistic threat of some kind of exposure if council decides it wants to remove this, and see what kind of applicants it gets from there.
Okay. So, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I'm sort of leaning the way Ms. Shawn is. I don't understand why we even do salary ranges. that much. 72,000 to 102,000. And all you're gonna get is people who are trying to get a salary too high. Just put down how much we think it's worth, and, you know, maybe have that little more experience than, you know, 5 or 10,000 more. You're talking about $30,000 difference. That's almost 50% more than 72. And if they're not a CBO, they shouldn't be getting 102. You know, and question from Mr. Vincent, what are we doing now? Who's acting as a CBO now?
We have Safe Built as our CBO, so there's a designated person. And if that person is sick, we still have another CBO. They have 4 CBOs with Safe Built. So if that individual's sick, we still have a CBO. Our part-time building official is also a CBO.
So we have a building official here already, who's a CBO.
Part-time, yes, sir.
Part-time.
Building inspector.
Okay.
And then with Safe Built, we have a building official who's a CBO.
And how often are they requested?
We're utilizing them on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that's what the contractors understand for their inspections or their certificate of occupancy.
And we're Safe Built without paying for benefits or anything? We're just
No,
paying
sir.
for
It's
their
just a
service.
flat rate. That's correct. And we actually have reduced their hours significantly because we want to use our own employees for those inspections.
And in your experience, then you come from buildings, right?
From the planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And CBOs isn't normally.
Yeah, I would not apply for this job. Because I don't want to be a planner and a CBO, because
Okay,
it's a tremendous amount of experience that you have
It's
to have.
not normal for have a planning director who's also a CBO.
It is not.
Thank you.
Along that same vein, if I could, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to ask, there's some kind of misunderstanding. I want clarification because of your background experience. And I understand that it takes 10 years of building construction experience in order to sit for the CBO test?
I don't know the experience. All I know is
Okay.
that you have to have in the field training for a certain amount of hours, which is extensive, which means it's gonna take that individual out of the office. So you've got the in the field training with a experienced CBO for a number of hours, which it could be 6 months to 8 months, and then they have to take the overload test.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question.
Mr. Coleman.
I forget what I was gonna ask. There's a good question.
Welcome to getting old.
There you go.
We don't have a planning director for the last 5 months, correct?
Since June 30th, since November 30th.
So it's about over 5 months.
Yes, sir.
And how is that affecting our CRS rating?
We are not getting submittals that require a planner to review. It's mostly inspections and permits. If we do get a planning type item, we've got the Waccamaw COG that can help us, Council of Government. We also have Safe Built.
Do we need a planning director?
I think we do. We do. We need someone to actually be in charge of that department and let them run it like they see fit. Right now, like I heard tonight, it's running smoothly. We're being business friendly, and we're doing our permits and applications in a very quick manner. But we are reviewing it to make sure that certified people are reviewing permits as they should.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey.
I am all aboard about keeping this on the books for a CBO. It was put on there for some reason on before my time. I don't know why, but I don't understand why we want to hire an outside source to come in and do our town business when we could eventually hire somebody. Somebody's going to apply for the job. It might take a little while, but I think we ought to have a CBO that is in the director's department. I don't think we should keep hiring it out to a firm. That's 2 payments that you're making. You're making one for a manager, and then you're making one still to Safe Built to come in and do it, and they only do it 3 times a week. I don't understand what the reasoning is behind this verbiage of trying to change it unless there's some alternative behind it, and it makes me question why, besides, and I've talked to you about this because of the not getting people in. But there's somebody out there, the last time we had 5 people apply, they were overlooked for I don't know what reasons they couldn't give us at that time. But there are somebody out there to do it, and I just think we should keep it on the books. I don't think we should change it up, take it off.
Any other comments? I have a question for Mr. Vincent. So our part-time building inspector is CBO also, that's what you said?
Yes, sir.
And this person is part-time by his, her choice?
By their choice.
Okay. And is there any
Well,
plan to?
there's a family choice, so it's family and part-time work. So
Okay.
if that changes, he may become full-time.
Okay. And that would probably be beneficial to us?
It would be.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we've got it handled internally, part-time. How much is part-time, 20 hours?
20 hours.
Okay.
2024. Yep.
Okay, and then we have Safe Build, and we're paying how much?
I think the contract under the budget was 90,000 for this fiscal year. We're reducing the hours to less than 70.
Okay, and so there's no benefits and so
No
forth,
benefits, just
so
hourly rate.
it's like paying 50-ish, 45.50 for a full-time employee.
Yeah.
Or for an equivalent, a permanent employee, but wouldn't be full-time because it's 3 days. But okay, so it's really not that expensive. It would be nice to have it inside and all that, but it's not like it's way over.
I want to reduce the hours for Safe Build, but it is a safety net in case we don't have that CBO experience.
And there's no repercussions if you do that? They don't charge us a higher rate?
No, sir.
Okay,
We just reduce the hours.
okay. All right, that's all I've got. Any other questions? All right, so we have a motion to just eliminate the CBO requirement from the position. That's basically what it boils down to, correct? Okay. Does anybody want to amend that for salary reasons or anything else?
Yeah, I would like to amend that to a salary from 72,000 to 80,000.
Mr. Mayor, can I say this? We have an established range. But what I do is when I interview the person based on their qualifications and their education experience, I'm not going to go to the top end. And that's what I've done with all my directors. But the salary range is already set for each grade and step.
So what I'm worrying about is that if you put it too high, you're gonna get people who you're not gonna hire from that wage. They think they're gonna get it, and then you might not get enough candidates.
Right.
If people know what the real salary, or close to it, you might get more people.
But the employees that I've hired here and in the past know me full well that you're not gonna get the top end. Unless it's considerably too low. So based on experience and education and certifications is how I determine what the salary is within that range. So if someone comes in with just the certifications and the education but not much experience, they're gonna start at 72, 120. Because that's the low end of the range.
I'm still worried about the 102.
Right.
Because you're taking a big requirement away. You're taking the CBO out of there.
And I didn't do the pay
No, I
scale, it's
understand.
done sometimes, so I don't know if that was included when the pay range was established.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. I figured you wouldn't, yeah, it predates probably all of us. Okay, so the motion right now is still just to eliminate the CBO requirement. Is there any other discussion, comment? All right, then, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
No.
Mr. Kinkin,
No.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklow,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
No.
Mr. Walls,
No.
Mayor Kraus.
I'm a yes, but the motion fails 4-3. All right. We are now moving on to our final item, the added item for first reading of ordinance 24-0966. My chicken scratch here. What was it? It was portion of chapter 9.
Ordinance number 24-0966. First reading of changing section 9-9 to read, and this is new, purchase of employee parking up to 16 parking spaces may be purchased by the tier attendants or surrounding businesses at $325 per space per year to include signage for the first year, $300 per space thereafter for existing patrons. The sale of this parking spaces only pertains to the gravel lot on Surfside Drive. Now, previous discussion.
Well, I think we should have a motion.
Okay, I make a motion. Can I just say?
Yeah, just make the motion and then pick right up where you left off, okay?
All right. Reread it?
No, just make a motion and then pick up.
Okay, I make a motion to accept section 9-9 as read.
Okay. Somebody down there, Mr. Staney.
Thank you.
All right, the committee talked about this for a couple of years now, and we feel like that there's a need for employee parking. And I'll talk about two that I personally talked to. Drippy's, who has said for safety reasons, he likes the idea of being able to have his employees leave work together and walk out, even though it's 2 blocks away, walk out together to go to their cars. Now, they have come back this week, and instead of 4 spots, they want 6. The other company that I talked to was Perry's. He feels like that it's worth him to buy the spaces so that his afternoon employees could come in and have a place to park instead of riding around trying to find somewhere to park their car. The third request was from Zach at Neil and Pam's. And last year, I have not talked to him this year, but last year he wanted 6. So last year we had 10 takers out of the 16. We had several businesses down there that did respond, but we felt like that eventually somebody else would want the other 6. So we stopped at 16. The lot handles about 32, so it's basically we're selling half the lot, but it'll still be available. The other 16 spaces will be available. One person I know voted against it last year because it did come up last year. They said, well, it looks like town's going to lose money on it. And I'm going to tell you the truth. That parking lot made $14,500 or something. It was over $14,000, which works out to $400 a space. I'm selling this or the committee wants to do this because it's something that we can do for the businesses. It helps them. It solves a problem that you don't have people parking in yards just because they got to find a place to park. It gives them a place that's paid for that they can go to every day, every night.
Any other comments?
Mayor,
Mr. Staney.
We done discussed this one time. I think this was done in previous council discussed this, and this is what we.
Last meeting, yes.
Last meeting.
We just didn't do it. This is
All
not just the
this
first reading.
is for the people who don't know, if you were listening or if you was here, it's the same thing that we discussed in the last meeting. The only thing that happened, it wasn't put on to the schedule tonight. At that time, we voted, we had it to be brought up for the first reading at this meeting. But I am on board for this, and these spots if we don't sell the 16 spots all at one time, whatever spots is left open is still rental property for the town or whoever wants it. The only time that these spots will be signed to these businesses will be once they pay the money for the parking spots, if they want 5 or 6 or whatever it happens to be. Once the 16 spots is gone, they're gone. I mean, whoever gets them. And we didn't have, I know some council and maybe some of the people in here thinks it's because of some of the businesses that did not have to have parking places down there, that those wanted. Believe it or not, none of them businesses, none of them, not one of them, has applied to have one of these parking spots. So they're asking their customers and their staff to either park somewhere else or park in the parking, paid parking and pay for it. So there's no intent to cater to, as some refer to it as the zoo down there. It wasn't catering to them. It was catering mostly to these people on the pier that we don't give them no parking in that big parking lot, which we don't give nobody no parking no more. So, and they aren't gonna have to pay for it. It's gonna actually wind up costing the town, as best I can figure, about $100 per month on it. So if it was making $400, it makes $300. So you can do the math on it and you'll find out it really ain't costing the town a whole lot of money to benefit some of these businesses and make it a little bit more friendlier to the business. And then I've heard, we don't provide no parking for no other business, but you go to Surfside Drive up here, we have a whole parking lot up here that you can park free anytime you want to, anytime. Their employees even use it. We've had problems with people complaining with the employees using these parking spots up here. But this is free up here. Down there, it ain't free. And these people's gonna have to pay to park here. So it's just a benefit to us. Thanks.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Bill, I left my paperwork in my budget folder. And so would you just clarify, we were gonna do something, with the signage, those signs we were gonna pass along as the cost of the space, is that right?
Yeah, it's $300 for the space. The first year is $325, that $25 to cover the cost of the sign.
That's all I needed.
Any other comments?
I just have one comment.
Mr. Coleman?
Historically, that lot was never used. It was a way to get some revenue and also help the employees to park. With the pier opening Easter weekend, it was packed. So the worst case scenario is we lose a couple of dollars this year. We help with the employees of the pier, have some parking for the employees. And like Mr. Stamey said, it isn't the people who didn't want the parking. You know, they got rid of their parking, which was crazy, but it happened. And but they're not asking for anything. It's Neon Pans, Drippies, other stores on the pier. They're the ones who are asking for it. They're willing to pay for it. Will we lose a couple of dollars if all of them are taken? Yeah, we're gonna lose a couple of dollars. Next year, you know, we assess it. We assess it every year. If the place is packed and people are parking all over the place, well, we're gonna have to figure something else. Possibly they should park up here and then have them shuttle down there or something, which was also the parking committee already discussed on something like that. But we don't know what it's gonna be like this year. And let's take a look and assess it next year and maybe possibly change it again.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shaw?
we have already approved this.
We're doing a first reading now.
First reading. So why are we debating it again?
We don't have to.
I mean,
But
we
I'm not gonna
already
cut it off.
approved it. I mean, I got the minutes right here in front of me, so I don't know why.
I agree.
Okay.
But you still can do this at a first reading.
Okay.
Is there any other comment? Okay, I'm gonna say then that we're gonna lose more than $100 of space, because I think that lot is gonna be packed at least for Memorial Day through Labor Day. But I voted for it. I'm not going to today because I don't like the way we did this. I don't think, it's a good precedent to, bring these kind of things in. You know, it was oversight perhaps, but it wasn't on the agenda, and I don't like, the appearance of pulling a fast one. I don't think anybody tried to, but it looks bad, and we heard several comments from the public today, and I just don't think we do it. We should do it. We should have waited 2 weeks and brought it up next meeting. So I will oppose it tonight, but that's why, even though I voted for it last time. And I know we've heard that before. I voted for it before I voted against it, kind of thing, but it's a different reason now. I just don't think we should bring these things in for first reading at the last minute. Any other comments? Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklo,
No.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
No. Motion carries 5-2. With that, we have reached number 9, public comments.
Okay, I got shorter since last time I was here. My name is Mary Jo Doggett, and I live at 515 12th Avenue North. I'm so tired of seeing Surfside Beach make the news and make the newspapers. I thought maybe this council could maybe improve that. Mr. Walls came to my house when he was politicking. He kindly asked me what was important to me in Surfside Beach. I answered the police department, the fire department, even the sanitation department. I have had to use the police department several times, sometimes for noise ordinances, sometimes because my husband fell and they came and helped him get up. The fire department comes regularly to my house. In fact, when they walk in, they say, "Oh, we've been here before. You're laying in the same spot you were the last time." My husband won't appreciate that tonight. But as you grow older, these things are important to you. I'm very disappointed in the fact that we are losing Kenny Hoffman, a man that has been here for 16 years as a patrolman and also as the chief of police. My husband and I have both taken Kenny's course that he started, the Citizens Police Academy. I don't know if any of you ever took it. I don't know. I know one gentleman back there did. I learned a lot about this city from Kenny. He told us a lot of things that went on and how needed our police department is. I know that I live in an area that in a small amount of time, the police, the fire department can be at my service. You're going into the busiest time of the year. You're gonna miss that guy. I appreciate those of you who voted not to do this. The Citizens Police Academy that he did, it was a 6-week course. He taught us a lot about what the police go through. He taught us how wide our city was, how I think it was 2 miles long and 2 miles wide. I don't remember. We had the opportunity to drive a police car. I didn't do that. We had the opportunity to, I can't even remember. Oh, we went down to the main place and we had these guns that we shot the good guys and the bad guys. I did pretty good. My friend, she killed everybody. But anyway, this isn't funny, and I don't mean to make it funny. I hope that when you have this committee, I hope that they prove you wrong. I know that Kenny's resignation wasn't because he's hiding anything. He was tired of the gossip and all the things that was being said about him. When Mr. Walls came to my house, he told me that he had already interviewed Kenny and he was going to the fire department and interview those people. We're lucky to have this. And if and when the time comes and you're all proven wrong but voted against him, I hope you offer to come back. And I hope he comes back and you give him a $20,000 raise.
Thank you.
And now for something entirely different. Tom Dodge, 8th Avenue South. Being almost 90 years old and not having a whole lot to do, I, along with my bride, on most afternoons ride our golf cart through 2 Mile Town. There is a lack of police presence. I have not seen a police car for weeks on end. I thought this was strange because in past years, I would often see the police on patrol. In past years, I would see our officers nearly every day, and they would wave, sometimes stop their car and talk. We've even had police officers stop at Hibachi Court, where I am half the time, get out of their vehicle, talk, or even play bocce with us. This is called community policing. For a small community such as ours, this is how it should be. It would appear to you that today, instead of community policing, we have Highway 17 policing. In January, there were 455 traffic stops, traffic citations written, and there were 442 written warnings. This is all well and good, but it should have officers visible inside the town, not just on Highway 17. Let's go back to that community policing and have officers visible and available inside our beautiful town. I've lived in this town for 32 years now. I applaud Officer Hoffman's decision. Since the terrible excuse of a very bad president, we've had roughly 15 million people come into this country illegally. I hope that the town staff and everyone who is in this position diligently follow and strongly enforce the guidelines of E-Verify. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dustin McCracken, 114 Oakwood South. I heard a few things talked about tonight as far as CBO and using safe built and everything. You got to realize that our ordinances are very complex. We are part of a community rating system that takes a lot of effort to maintain and everything. If you think the safe build has all of that in their brains when they're making these decisions and all that stuff, they don't. So you got to think about the class ratings and stuff. I know that our CRS has recently went up to a class 5, I believe. Also, I want to mention that a CRS committee, which is a steering committee, was created to be able to provide reports and stuff to the CRS program, and they haven't met in a very long time. So you got to realize that's going to affect our CRS. And if you talk about tax increases and millage rate and everything, you got to realize each class that we go up is a 5% increase on our premiums and insurance, every class, and that's ISO, and that's also the CRS. So you think a tax increase is going to affect us? That's not going to affect us. Our insurance rates are going up almost 30% every year, and a 5% increase in our insurance rates, that's a big tax increase to me. So I really feel like there should be much more pressure on keeping that CBO rating. We are a small town. We did utilize that field. So that's my part on that. Another concern I have is we recently created a human resources position in the town. Why are they not a part of this investigative report or whatever? In their job description, it is their responsibility to investigate employees. So therefore, where's this person? They weren't in an executive session when you're talking to them. What do they do? Why do we need this position? We're paying that salary. What do they do? Why are they not part of it? I also like to recognize Kenny. One thing I love about this is Kenny has dedicated a lot of service to town. I haven't always agreed with him, but he's been respectful to me and everything. When I asked to meet with him, I did a citizen ride along and everything as well. He's always been respectful of me. And one of the biggest things I love about it is the tenure and dedication to the town. I understand from a management point and a leadership role point, sometimes y'all have to make hard decisions. I definitely have over the years. And I hope that whatever was provided to you, y'all made the right decision. I respect that decision. I think Kenny's a grown man. He has a lot of experience. He's able to go. He's already had job offers, I hear. So that's great for Kenny. But at the end of the day, I respect each of you just by saying, hey, we may need to investigate this or not. I understand it. Sometimes y'all have to make those hard decisions. We don't always have all the information, so I believe that that's appropriate. But I really want to say thank you to Kenny Hoffman. He dedicated 16 years to this town. I know every time he's approached me in a planning commission or peer committee or whatever, he's really dedicated and given us all he has. Sometimes he asks for way far too much, but at the end of the day, that's what you want out of your director. So thank you, Kenny Hoffman. I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn Livesey, 520 10th Avenue South. I was going to stand up here and speak specifically about Kenny Hoffman. He's just a great guy. And I'm sorry he's come to this, but I certainly, if you're going to go through with this independent investigation, inquiry, whatever, no one in here should even be involved in that. And I hope that it turns out just like our forensic audit. Nothing. We've lost a wonderful person. He was an Air Force brat. He went to school on the Air Force base. He's been here 16 years and he has a history, and he's got the heart of the community. And I just wanted to speak on his behalf, and I hope Kenny knows we all love him. I don't need to get too emotional here. I just wanted to make a statement, or I wanted to inquire, what is our paper of record when we have to advertise when there's a hearing or something? It has to be advertised for 30 days prior to the hearings. Can the clerk tell me, or the administrator, the paper of record?
We can't take questions right now, but.
Okay, well, if you could just let that be known. It used to be the Myrtle Beach Herald. I don't know where it is now because I get the Myrtle Beach Herald. It's not in there because when we have things like that. I'd like to have you all rethink how many executive sessions you use. And it's way too much. I'd like to address it in the sense that I think you could use your HR department now and your administrator. They only are supposed to be, executive session is for pay, it's for employee maybe reviews or problems, or if someone's been indicted. Honestly, you all, stop it. Just stop that. There's too many executive sessions. Save yourself some time. Let your paid staff do that work. There's one other thing I had here. I really am pleased, and I couldn't believe the work that the peer committee is doing. You guys need to move them and push them on. They want to do stuff. And this is like, what, 18 months they've been working on things and can't get any one thing done? I know we've just recently gotten on board, but what great ideas and what helpful. What a presentation. I'll vote for Dusty. But anyway, and another thing I wanted to bring up just for you all to be thinking about, and I'm sure the parking committee will come up with it eventually. It's going to take more than an hour for someone to eat in the restaurant on the pier. And maybe you can come up with some miracle way to validate someone's, if they're parked in the parking lot that's $4 an hour and they're eating there, maybe the restaurant can validate for another hour so they don't have to pay or run to the meter and put another $4 in so they can finish their meal. That's just a thought. I know other places do it. But I think that would be kind of important to our tourists, not just our locals. And I'm sure the Municipal Association will be more than glad to help any of you all do anything you want to do that has to do with job descriptions. And I'm so glad that you maintain our standard, high standard, quality. That's what we're about. And thank you all. And this has been a long meeting.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? All right, then we're going to close that and move on to number 10, town council discussion and or comments. And I'll start with Mr. Krecklau.
Well, thanks for all of you coming out and listening in, and see you next time. Bye.
Mr. Wallace.
Short and sweet. It's the way I like it, Laverne, thank you. Just thank y'all for checking in. It was great to see a full room. Thanks for so many people approaching the podium and giving us their feedback. Again, to Dusty, you guys, great presentation. I appreciate all the hard work y'all done. And I just want to thank you for being here, and I'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Mr. Kinkin.
I'm glad to see everybody that's here. I hope there are a lot of people listening in. I want to say again how much I appreciate the work of the business committee. It's having sat in on a couple of their meetings, they're doing a lot of work. They're trying to pull the businesses together. They're getting them together once a quarter for, forgot the word I want to use, but anyway, to get to know each other. And I forgot I think it was Mary Jo's talked about the community policing, or maybe it was Tom. Anyway, before Kenny became our chief, we never saw a police car go down Dogwood Drive or 14th Avenue. I live on the corner of 14th and Dogwood. I would see them on the boulevard, but I never saw them back in the neighborhoods. And I'm still seeing them in the neighborhood, so they haven't totally quit coming back, because I see them almost every day. And it's always made me feel safer. It's like me driving down the road. If I see a policeman, I automatically take my foot off the gas. I may not even know how fast I'm going, but I take my foot off the gas. It's a preventative for all of us to see them there. And I said something to Jerry yesterday and Kenny. Evidently in Florida and southern Georgia, they have a real problem with squatters on the coast. They have these empty buildings that people move into, and it's like pulling nails or teeth to get them out. It takes months to get them out of there. We need to be proactive and have a policy that allows the police to go in and remove people quickly. They'll go in and change the locks, and you can't even get in your own property, and they just laugh at you. Now, we had this in Charlotte when I left 10 years ago, and one I know of became a church. They decided, well, we're a church, so it made it even harder to get them out. They were there for 2 years, and I don't know if they ever got them out. So I'm challenging us to be proactive and come up with a policy that will help the police solve this quickly and not have to go through months of going through the courts and et cetera. And with that, thank you again for being here. We live in a great town, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Coleman.
Just want to thank everybody for coming out. I understand that some of you are upset about Chief Hoffman, but you also have to see the other side of the story. There were people who had complaints about the job experience here. There were 64 people who left in the last 6 years, 17 in the last year. Most of our police department right now has less than a year in. Think about that. Only have less than a year. Not blaming it on the chief, but want to find out why. We have to find out why.
Worldwide.
A police officer who's only here less than a year has no idea about the neighborhood and the environment. We need seasoned officers. We used to have officers who stayed here for 13, 14, 16 years. And all of them are gone before they retire. We need to know why. Thank you very much.
Ms. Shawn.
First thing I want to do is apologize for my phone going off. I thought I shut it off. My daughter's been in the emergency room hospital since 1 o'clock this morning. All's good. That's why I've been on my phone a lot up here. Don't want anybody thinking that I'm ignoring y'all. And she's good. She had surgery and she's gonna be on the mend, but I do apologize for that. I love seeing everybody out here. We do have different opinions. That's the country we live in. And, I'm surely we can grow together. I would ask that sometimes we're gonna have to learn, and this works both ways. Sometimes we have to agree to disagree to get to a bigger thought. I wanna say the peer committee, that's the most excellent presentation I have seen since I was on that side and this side. So I thank you for all your hard work. Go out tonight, be safe, and God bless.
Mr. Stavey.
I want to thank everybody for coming and everybody listening in. And I want to address the parking thing that they were talking about down at the pier. With text to park and all, they will contact you and give you a warning that the time's running out. And there are no paid machines down at the pier. It's all done by text to park or whatever. And that's the way that works. It ain't that we're down there trying to just write tickets to somebody. They get a chance to take care of that problem before it happens. And we've had a lot of people complain about getting tickets for parking. It's costing them $50, but it's cheaper. I mean, it's cheaper to pay the $3 or $4 to park than it is to pay the $50. You could park several hours for $50, but besides that, they want to complain because they overparked or didn't park in the right spot. Don't break the law and you won't get it. But I'm going to address Kenny and our fire chief who is in this town who is leaving too, or our minister, or Larry Carter, deputy chief. We're losing two good people, very good people. And I've been on council for 2.5 years now. I go talk to both of them on a regular basis and find out what's going on in town. I can't say that about some of our fellow councilmen. They don't go talk to them. They don't go listen.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Okay, yeah, don't please talk about the rest of council. Thank you.
Yes. So with that said, if we listen, if we just pay attention and listen, I think a lot of this could have been solved. We are losing. I mean, and I'm going to repeat myself. We are losing a great chief. And this, I voted for the investigation this time simply because I went and talked to Kenny. And Kenny said, do the investigation and see what you can find. He said, it ain't gonna benefit me, but it might benefit the next guy that's here, who I hope can stand in Kenny's shoes or stand close to his shoes anyway, because I think Kenny's a great guy. And I'm sorry it's happened. With that said, I hope everybody has a good night, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, I'll wrap up, hopefully pretty quickly. I also want to thank everybody who came here and listened online. We do have some tough decisions to make. We don't always agree. But I trust that this council is working as it sees the best interests of this town. And that is certainly what I'm trying to do. We've got some other tough decisions coming with the budget. We had an all-day review yesterday. You know, we are not able to fund positions we'd like to, but we're going to try to work through that as much as we can. We'll see that. We'll have another review on the 22nd, and would invite everybody to come in and listen. I mean, this is your money that we're talking about spending, so I encourage you to be there. I'm a committee guy. I was the peer committee chair during the first iteration, and you know, the whole point about all of that was that the ideas just kind of came and died. And I'm glad to see the committees reinstated and bringing back the same ideas because they were good, and I think we need to see them through. There may be some challenges, and we need to understand the point of view of the administration. I respect John Adair's opinions, but we need to work through it. We can't just say no. And that's basically what happened, you know, a year or so ago, and everything stalled out. So I'm pleased to see that happen. Same with the business committee. I'm asking the committees to come in, and I want all of you to see the work that these groups are doing. It's committees are an extension of town council, and they do a ton of work for us, and have some great ideas, and I want to expose it. We did KSBB a couple weeks ago. Parking committee, they just came with some recommendations, but we kind of got to see what they're doing. We did business, and we did peer committee today. Planning commission's already said they're ready to go. Yeah, we're gonna have them all in here, and I want everybody to see all the work that these folks are doing, because it is a lot of the real work of this town, and it's all unpaid volunteers. So, and I encourage everybody to support those, volunteer for the Spot Yourself, attend their meetings too. They're all over the place, mostly during the day, but you should see what they're doing, and you know, really support what it is, because it's great for this town. So I'm going to wrap up there. Thank everybody for coming, keeping, you know, in tune, listening to what's going on. And we'll see.
Can I say something?
Okay, go ahead,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Kakin.
There is an opening on the parking committee. We need somebody. Thank you.
Okay. And I know Tabitha at least monthly puts those out. But that now will conclude the comments, and I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I was gonna stop. Well, you're.